Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge. We are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. My name is Nejad, and we've got all of you in the chat. Farzad, I see a young fam. We've even got EC in the chat. I wonder if he's on the show. Hello, Fantasy Life. Let's see how we did on the recap screen as I see all the names and all the participation in the chat. Smash the like button if you could. We go 4-3. Bucket splits, Martin Green splits, Mikey B splits. But we get that fourth win courtesy of Larry Hartstein, who hits another college basketball play. St. Louis plus 2.5 cashes to get us to that 4 mark. 4-3. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's a decent result. Let's try to improve upon it with a great Thursday cast. This is amazing. We've got Mike McClure. We've got Tom Casale. We've got Eric Cohen. And we've got Chip Patterson. Chip, I do want to start with you. I have a bit of a bone to pick with you.
Bone?
I'm just going to...
On this Fiesta Bowl Thursday? You have a bone to pick with me?
We've got college football to talk about. We've got NFL, we've got NHL picks. So much to talk about. But if I may, I got a text from you last week, and it read as follows. Happy New Year, see ya. Just thought you'd want to start your 2026 with a fun fact. Trevor Lawrence is just one of 4 quarterbacks with 25-plus passing touchdowns and 9-plus rushing touchdowns in a season, only being with Cam, Kyler, and Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. Why would you send such a text to me?
I think that it's so important as I move about my life that, when you find some joy, when you find that fruit, that you share it with other people. And considering how much of a main character Trevor Lawrence had become deep into the football season here on the Early Edge, I thought that I should share that with you. To hold on to it would be selfish, and I wanted to conclude my 2025 and start my 2026 with an act of real gratitude for the moment. So, Sia, considering your absolute disdain for Trevor Lawrence's existence, the fact that you are stunned anytime that Trevor Lawrence gets out of bed and ties his shoes and begins to walk, the fact that you have ever since that man was being lauded at his time as a Clemson Tiger, you have thought he is entirely overrated. I just thought that was interesting company for him to be in, given his performance coming down the stretch with Jacksonville.
We'll get to picks in a second. Did you happen to get a response to that text?
No, it was actually a network error. Was that the response that I got?
Weird. Yeah, that is super, super weird that there'd be a network error on that. All right, let's get, I do want to get to some picks, but EC, how you doing? I do want to break just a little bit of news. We're only going to touch on it for a second. The Early Wedge betting show, that Tuesday night show. Last year, EC, you might recall, it came back, I think it was like after the Phoenix Open or around the Phoenix Open. Well, we're starting it up at the Sony Open, and I know you're going to be a part of that. How you feeling about that, EC?
See, I am loving being back on the show with you, Patrick Sobel. Love the crew, love everybody that's a part of it. So really stoked to be a part of that. I will say this. I came on the show last week on Early Edge, my first appearance in like 2+ years, and I come out and give a stinker, and I lose money to McClure in like 5 seconds. And you all were giving me crap for not paying sooner. I thought Texas Tech was going to mount a comeback.
What?
Let me say this. I did. I was like, all right, third quarter, they made a drive. I wasn't paying Mike until I knew it was officially over, and they throw a pick in the end zone. That was it.
No, what you weren't paying is you weren't paying attention to the fact that Baron Morton is not an elite quarterback. And that any witness of that, I
saw that. I saw that. I was just praying. Chip, I was praying. I was like, I need 2 defensive touchdowns. Listen, hold on. I was in a game in 2006, the Denny Green meltdown game. It was 21-3 Cardinals over the Bears. They scored 3 defensive touchdowns in a row and won the game. You never know what can happen with an elite defense like Tech had. It was bad.
All right. Well, we're going to get to some making money with Mike McClure instead of losing money to him. We've got a lot of picks on this college football game, and some in contrast to each other. So, Mike, I'm going to let you lead off, and then Tom, you're going to give your plays out right after him because, again, we have some consistency with you two, but with EC and Chip, there's just a little bit on the other side. So, Mike, kick us off with a play on Ole Miss.
I like Ole Miss to win this game outright. I've played them against the spread as well, albeit at 4.5, not the 3.5. I like them to win the game outright, though, particularly at the price point, plus 150. Put this up on the SportsLine side a couple days ago. I made the number in this one plus 113. I have this a lot closer to a pick'em. Certainly not going to be a game that projects to be 3.5 on a spread. The biggest number I could agree with and get to on Miami would be 1.5 right now. So when I look at this particular matchup, it's an interesting one for sure. Miami, they have done a good job to get to where they are. I think they have to play a lot better offensively to continue to advance. I'm worried about their defense a little bit in this matchup, only because of what Ole Miss has done so well. The one thing Ole Miss does really well is play with tempo and run a ton of plays. And Miami is a team that plays so physical, so aggressive defensively, exerting a ton of energy. What Ole Miss is likely to do is make it impossible to substitute. It's essentially do not let them substitute at any cost on the defensive side. And if they're able to have any success while doing that, that is going to wear down that defensive front pretty quickly. Where I worry about it is certainly right out of the gate on the opening drive, and then I worry about it third and fourth quarter. But I like Trinidad Chambliss. He's 23 years old. He's the same age as C.J. Stroud, Caleb Williams, some of the other quarterbacks that are quarterbacking in the playoffs in the NFL. And he's a +1 in the running game. So I just think that this game is tight. It's competitive. And let's not forget that Ole Miss, they've lost one game this college football season, that game to Georgia, when they were in control of that game and essentially should have won that game. They should be undefeated coming into this. I will take Ole Miss here on the money line.
All right. A lot of reaction to Trevor Lawrence, which we'll get to later. I even have a prop on Trevor Lawrence. I'm embarrassed about it. I have a prop on over 1.5 touchdown passes at plus money in that Bills game. I actually think Jacksonville's going to win that too. That's a big take on Ole Miss. Now, Tom, I think, let's get to your picks. I think you have a play on Ole Miss as well, but you're taking the spread. However, you also have a player prop on the Miami side. So get going.
Yeah, I agree with Mike. I just think it's they're a little undervalued. I would like either team in this game if they were getting 3.5, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be one of the better, more competitive games we've seen in the last 2 years in the college football playoff. I rewatched that Ole Miss Georgia game last night, and it kind of confirmed what I thought. Georgia played well. Like, it wasn't like Georgia had the all the time off and they were, lackluster, kind of like Ohio State was. But I thought they played really well. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss was just the best player on the field. He just kept making plays. And I do agree with Mike in one sense. I think this offense is going to present a little bit different challenge than the first two teams Miami's played. So they're going to have to score more points in this game. Now, can Carson Beck do that? They've done a great job of making him a game manager, running the football. He hasn't had to do a lot, just make a couple throws here on third down. But if Ole Miss scores some points, is he going to be able to keep up? I think that's kind of going to be where the game is won or lost. I think it's going to be close down to the end. So I do like the 3.5 with Ole Miss. And my player prop is Fletcher over 88.5 rushing yards. The Mark Fletcher. The one area here, if you like Miami, where you can hang your hat, is they have a big edge on the offensive line. Ole Miss gives up rushing yards. They've allowed over 151 yards per game on the ground, and they can give up big plays in the running game. And we know Miami is going to come out starting to try to run the football, overpower them. So I think this is a game where both offenses have success. Again, I think it's close late, but I think Fletcher gets to 100 rushing. I think Ole Miss covers the 3.5.
All right, Tom, people want to know, obviously we went on CBS Sports Network and you caused a lot of waves, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it, with the tree stump comment. And Jen wants to know, was the tree stump coach in this game or is it in the Friday game?
No, the tree stump coach is Mike Shula, who was the offensive coordinator for South Carolina, who I can only imagine Shane Beamer hired because they play golf together or their wives go on vacation together or whatever it is coaches do when they hire these idiots. But it was a disaster hire from the start. He completely ruined that offense. So that's where the tree stump. Kai said he had the imagination of a tree stump.
Good stuff. By the way, that CBS Sports Network show, the college football picks are now on the SportsLine YouTube channel, so you can watch them there as well. All right, Chip and EC, we got to get to your reaction to this game, and we will discuss, because I know people are asking about the total, because we don't have an official pick on the total, what our opinions are there and things of that nature. Let's get to a BetMGM promo first, though. BetMGM players will receive a college football playoff odds boost token. To use the boost on tonight's game, you'll score extra winnings if you use the boost. And really, it's just like any other odds boost token. You place it and you score a bigger payout only at BetMGM. And I do want to remind everyone, I think we have about 500 people or so in our Early Edge Pro Football Playoff Pick'em. NFL Wildcard Weekend is here, and we've got $5,000 in real cash up for grabs in our free Pick'em contest. Again, that's $5,000. Top 10 get paid $1,500 to first place. Second place gets $1,000, and down the line from there. All you need to do is pick this weekend's wildcard games against the spread. The top prize is $1,500, like I said. And again, this will go through the playoffs. Just go to splashsports.com/earlyedge to enter. And the best part, it's completely free. $5K on the line, and it's completely free. A lot of you were already in the contest, so all you got to do is just go back in. But if you weren't already in the contest, go to splashsports.com/earlyedge. All right, Chip, we got to get to your picks. EC, we got to get to your picks. We have questions in the chat as well. Before we get to a break, though, we do have a couple of SportsLine picks. Buffalo Sabres money line from Todd Furman. Again, Buffalo Sabres money line from Todd Furman at -110. That is SportsLine pick number 1. And we've got an NBA pick, Moussa Diabate, over 20.5 points in rebounds at -120. That one, courtesy of Prop Bet Guy. Again, Buffalo Sabres money line and Diabate over 20.5 points in rebounds are our SportsLine picks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a lot more to cover. Let's get to a break and cover it. We'll be back right after this message.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
We're back on the Early Edge, and EC, it's time for you to redeem yourself from the Texas Tech play against Mike McClure. What do you got on the docket? You've got to play on this Oregon-Indiana game to some degree, and on the Miami game, but you also have a college basketball play.
You know, it's time for a parlay. See, it was such a disaster a week ago. I had to do something. There's only one thing worse than my CFP picks, and that's my dating life. So I have to redeem myself. I'm serious. 2026, I have to redeem myself. All right, here's what we got. I'm going with a parlay at +150. Miami on the money line. I will be there tonight. Section 112. I cannot wait. Always go to the Fiesta Bowl. Great game. Miami's defensive line, offensive line. I expect them to hold serve as they have in the previous 2 games with Ole Miss. All that coaching attrition, where does that finally catch up to them? I think it's tonight. Close game, Miami 28, Ole Miss 21, but give me the money line. And then I'm buying the alt line here, the over 44.5 in the Indiana-Oregon game. I think Oregon is going to make adjustments after losing that first game 30-20 in October. I'm an Indiana hater. I apologize, Ben. I don't have anything against your school. I just keep picking against them and losing. I lean Oregon in this game. Not going to hammer aside. I'm not losing money to anybody there, but I'm buying the over down a little bit. I see this as a minimum 24-21 game, so that's why I'm buying it down. And we're going to parlay Miami in that over at +150. And then tonight in college basketball, in honor of Casale being on the show, in honor of my buddy Berg Betts in the chat, give me the Rutgers, Illinois over 144.5. So in 8 Illini home games, each one has had at least 145 total points. Illinois scores more than 87 a game and is in the top 40 in the nation in scoring. And in 4 Big Ten games that Rutgers has played, the opponent has scored 80 or more each time against them. This feels like a game to me where Illinois comes close to that 87 points. Rutgers approaches 70 in that area. We get a total in the 150s, and this goes over. So give me that over 144.5 in Rutgers, Illinois.
All right. And we do have a bit of consistency here, EC, with Chip Patterson. Chip, you don't have Miami as a pick, at least as a game pick, but you do have, correct me if I'm wrong, you do have Miami in the first half?
Yeah. I can explain this. I was actually just reading about Bernoulli's trials here in finite mathematics, and that's because we got to throw the math out the window, okay? All vibes, baby. Here we say, do you really think that Ole Miss is going to back it up? Did you see Trinidad Chambliss on that sun run? Did you see him evading those free Georgia rushers? Do we really think that Ole Miss can reload the musket? Do you know how long it takes to reload a musket?
Long time.
It's the Confederates against the convicts. So I am going to evoke some Civil War, sort of terminology here. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about Joe Cox, right? Oh, Joe Cox. He was the LSU quarterbacks coach who's been spending some time with Ole Miss. You know what Lane Kiffin said? You come on back now. You're done. Your job's done here. I'm thinking about a couple other assistants that have been with Ole Miss. Hey, you come on back now. And then I'm thinking about coaching edge, because you know what Ole Miss had in its first 2 games? It had games against opponents that it had already played. The binder had already been built. They do not have the first mover advantage that they had in those first 2 games. So when it comes for preparation against Miami, they are going to be a little bit less advantaged than they were going up against Tulane, a team they absolutely throttled, and going up against Georgia, a team that they led and then eventually lost the lead to in their only regular season loss. Now, look, if Ole Miss goes out there and just like wins this game too, and Trinidad Chambliss keeps playing the way he does, we're talking Kemba Walker, UConn levels of put the team on my back. I'm going to go get it done, boys. Because here's what I see. And like, I cannot emphasize enough how correct M Squared is about the tempo, because we already saw Ohio State wanted to go tempo, and they had Ruben Bain and Akeem Messidor huffing and puffing on the sideline for a key third down conversion. But the problem was Julian Sayin couldn't process it. This is clearly Ole Miss's DNA, and it's one of the reasons why I want out at halftime, because I think that Miami has a coaching edge for the start of this game in the fact that they are going to be able to show things to Ole Miss's defense that Ole Miss's defense isn't there for. And, you know, we've made it 15 minutes and 48 seconds in this show, and we haven't talked about Ole Miss's defense, because if you stack up all the offenses and all the defenses of the 4 remaining teams, you know who's number 8 in that power ranking? Ole Miss's defense. So this is what I'm imagining for the start of this game. That Mario Cristobal, chest out, talk about the tough SOBs, we're going to hit first. They are going to string together so many 4 and 5 yard runs from Mark Fletcher. I mean, I think Tom's prop's going to hit too, because this is going to be 5 minute, 6 minute, 7 minute, 8 minute drives. This is going to be playing keep away. And God forbid Ole Miss is not able to get a couple of first downs early in this game, because then we're going to start to see the time of possession slant. Then we're going to find it hard to get into a rhythm. Now, that said, this Ole Miss team outscored Georgia 22-7 in the second half, right? Like, this Ole Miss team really might be on a sun run of all time, right? So I don't want none of what happens in the second half, which, by the way, also might include some stupidity, right? Like, I mean, just what are the chances that the Miami Hurricanes and the Ole Miss Rebels, 2 football programs that in the 21st century have always cared, have always spent money, have always had talent, and what have they always done, huh? They've always bumped their head against the ceiling by being stupid. So who's going to out-stupid the other team? I don't want any part of that. I'm just going hands off. I think Miami is going to have a good game plan. I think they're going to play keep away, and if they do get worn down defensively, it's going to come after halftime. So I'm going Miami in the first half minus 1.5.
What an incredible take that was. That was so impressive. Mike, any response to that take? Because, again, this one could hit. We could thread the needle, as Chip likes to do, with a first half cash. And, of course, Ole Miss ends up winning the game, or in Tom's case, covering the 3.5.
Yeah, no, certainly paths to getting to all of them. I do like Mark Fletcher a lot. I think he's going to have at least 1 or 2 big runs in this game, which is why I'm not touching the total in the game. I think that it could be one where we're, you know, everyone's clapping, you're cashing a first quarter under that I would typically like to play in this spot that I'm not going to. Like, it's very possible we have a low scoring first quarter and this game gets a little silly in the second half.
Hey, slippery field too. That stadium, you know, we've seen people sliding around out there in Glendale. So like one DB falls, and all of a sudden with any of these skill players, that's going to be a touchdown house call.
And to Chip's point there, I don't trust Mario Cristobal with a lead at all. I think he's one of the worst in-game managers in college football, to be honest with you. And so we'll see. As far as can he get there, like, Miami is the better team on the offensive and defensive line. I think Ole Miss is the better team when it comes to creativity. The question is does the big Mark Fletcher run go for a touchdown, or is he tackled and held to a field goal? Does Tony get loose or not? Like, they're thin margins here, but I like Trinidad Chambliss. I like the pace. I like the tempo that they're able to play with. And I think that personally will be the difference late, but I just think Trinidad Chambliss is the best quarterback in college football here. And again, not the best pro prospect. He's the best college football quarterback, and he's finally someone that can run the system. As Chip mentioned, Ohio State tried to run with tempo a little bit against Miami. They couldn't pull it off because they don't have a quarterback that's able to do it. Yep. That's the huge difference here. And they don't do it all the time. Ole Miss does it against every single opponent, no matter what. So it's just a comfortable setup. We'll see how the game plays out, but I think Miami's a little overvalued after the way they won those 2 games. And I think Ole Miss continues to be doubted. I think the coaching on the Ole Miss side doesn't matter at all. I think what Lane Kiffin is so good at is recruiting and putting systems in place. This team is just simply running that system, and they have all the additional motivation of, Lane not being there, the drama, being the underdog. I like the Ole Miss side personally.
All right, I want to get to the total, Tom, 52.5. You don't have to have a take one way or the other, but whether it's the first half or the overall total or first quarter, any leans one way or the other, Tom? And then EC, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah, I lean the over. Chip is right. If you like Miami, you're looking at the Ole Miss defense, as I mentioned with the Fletcher prop. That's where Miami is going to have an edge. And I do think these scenarios that everybody's talking about could happen. That Miami gets a lead, and there's just something about this and then there's something about this Ole Miss team, right? That in the fourth quarter they start coming. I can see all that happening, but I do like the over here. As I said before, I think it's going to be a heck of a game. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I kind of like the way both teams match up with each other. I think they both have some paths to scoring points, so I would go over the 52.5 here.
Could absolutely see Trinidad Chambliss doing the Caleb Williams thing that he's done. I want to bring up the Bears for a reason, but where when he has to just turn it on, he turns it on in the fourth quarter, and they end up being competitive or flat out winning the game. Go ahead, Chip.
No, go ahead, Mike. You got it.
Oh, I was addressing the chat because it came up in Fletcher when I asked Tom about it. Someone has a longest rush prop on Fletcher sitting at 15.5 or 16.5.
Whoa.
This is one that I love. And I will say, I don't like betting longest rush, longest reception. I think they're very fluky markets in the NFL. I don't think that way in college football. I think it's far more tied to individual skill and less variance in college football. In the NFL, I think that with the quality defense and the quality of the athlete, it's very susceptible to randomness. Here, I think it's all skill. I would play I like Tom's play of over 88.5. I would play this before the actual total. I think there is an extremely high probability that he has a 20-plus yard run in this game.
So, EC, I wanted to go to the game total with you, and I will. We're going to circle back to this game because I think we have some more questions. We've got some NBA picks. Like, for example, Big Cheesy says Donovan Mitchell over 28.5 points at -120, and he says the line is moving, so catch it now. But when you bring up the longest rush with Mark Fletcher, it actually transitions into my play. I have an NFL play. And what's interesting about the play I have on Saquon Barkley against the Niners on Sunday is that I almost came, and I don't do longest rush props very often, but I do bring them sometimes. I was going to do Saquon Barkley over longest rush over 17.5 yards because I think he's going to have the ability, not consistently, but he's going to have the ability to break a couple of runs against this San Francisco defense. What I ended up choosing instead was the volume, because I honestly like Saquon Barkley's yards as well, which is anywhere between 79.5 and 82.5. I will say, if you want to bet the yardage over, total yardage over, BetMGM has the best number if you like the over at 79.5. Most outfits have it at 81 or 82. But I'm going to go with the rush attempts because I just really think of all three of those that I just discussed. I think all three are coming in. But I think the volume is the play for Saquon Barkley for a couple of different reasons. One is he's hit this number, I think, in each of the last 4 games. So, I mean, there's that. He's obviously the volume monster for this team. Tank Bigsby might spell him for 3 to 5 carries, and that's about it. The other thing is, against this San Francisco defense, what we're going to see from Philly, is obviously a lot of running. But more importantly, when it comes to volume, in my opinion, is we're going to see drives extended. We're going to see 3rd and shorts and that are going to translate into first downs. We're going to see long sustained drives from the Eagles, maybe some 7, 8, maybe even 9-minute drives from the Eagles, conservative drives. And when you extend drives, you extend plays, and you get more carries for your workhorse. So I honestly think if the game plan goes like it should for the Eagles, we could have 14 carries for Saquon Barkley just in the first half. And then he closes it out with another 10 carries in the second half, and when we're at 24 before we have to close shop. So I like the Saquon Barkley volume. I will say that this offensive line is getting healthier for Philly, due in part to them resting last week. And I think that's going to help Saquon Barkley's yardage and maybe his longest rush as well. But certainly like the volume here, 19 rushes or more at -122. All right, let's circle back to this game tonight. EC, any thoughts on the total? And we will get to some questions in the chat.
Yeah, so we have converging trends here. Ole Miss has scored 30 or more points in 8 straight games, yet Miami has not given up more than 24 in regulation all season. The only time they gave up more was in overtime to SMU when SMU had a walk-off touchdown. Something has to give tonight. I think that Miami's defense is going to rise to the occasion, But do you think hearing M Squared's rationale, hearing Tom's rationale, and considering my luck right now, I am staying away from I'm going to enjoy the game as a fan in person, but I don't want to lose more money.
All right, that's fair. Chip, you look like you had something to add as well.
Yeah, I mean, just that all tempo chaos games where Miami is motivated to have as few plays as possible and Ole Miss is motivated to have as many plays as possible. I would say like there might be some live opportunities, and I don't even know like how to send you out into the wilderness, but it's just our variance of outcomes is like, whoop, like we've just got a lot of different ways that this could go.
Ben, I kind of want to bring you on because there's a lot of Bears talk in the chat about Bears Packers. And there's also, obviously, we're going to talk a lot about Indiana, Oregon on tomorrow's Early Edge show. But there's a lot of talk about Indiana, Oregon as well. It's implicated in EC's play, his parlay. You're a Chicago fan and an Indiana fan. I kind of want to get your take on this if you can come on. By the way, can I just say, I kind of lured you on under false pretenses. Everyone, and I do want your response to those two games because you're sharp and you like those teams. Everyone in the chat, we got a lot of people watching across a lot of different platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, it was Ben's 1-year anniversary as producer of this show and many other shows just a couple of days ago. So a big shout out to Ben, who was really like, listen, this show has absolutely leveled up, and Ben is a huge part of that, if not the biggest part of it. Not just this show, but the network shows. He sets up those as well. All the special shows, Ben's doing that. He's showing up on screen sometimes. Big shout out to Ben. Congratulations to you, and congratulations more to us. Give me your thoughts, Ben, on Indiana and the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. I've loved being with you guys for the past year. I think it's been super fun, and love where the show's going, love where we've taken the show. So I think this has been it's been an awesome year. So yeah, appreciate that. For the Bears Packers, I was telling Chip and EC before the show started, I'm a little scared of that one. Both my teams this weekend are playing teams they have already beat in this season. So that is a little scary concept there, because it is very difficult to beat good teams twice, and both Oregon and Green Bay are very good teams. So I'm a little nervous that both my teams can lose. I think for the Bears, the problem is, can the offense get going? We've seen Caleb Williams and that offense struggle the past couple weeks. I'm a little worried the Packers defense, even with some injuries, they can kind of shape up and be ready for what Caleb Williams and the Bears are going to be bringing on Saturday. I think after especially 2 games against them, they're going to be ready for them. And Caleb, first playoff game, I don't know where the nerves are going to be. The weather's going to be a little wonky. So I'm a little nervous for that game. I think the spread is correct. I took the first half under 23 for Bears-Packers, so that's going to be my bet for that game. And for Indiana, again, another game I'm absolutely terrified. Oregon is a really good team, and Indiana beat them on the road after a bye. It was a great game. They played really well. Are they going to be able to do the same? Now, I think, and maybe this is just bias, but I am very high on Indiana. They don't beat themselves. And I talked about that, where a team that doesn't beat themselves, especially in college football, is very, very difficult to beat. So unless they do something completely different than they've done all season, where they just make mistakes, they beat themselves, they have stupid penalties, I don't see a way they can lose that game unless they completely deviate from how they've played this season. So I'm going to be riding Indiana. I don't think I'm going to get a 3 on the board at all, but I will take 3.5. And I'll be praying that they're going to win this game, but it's going to be very, very tough, because it's tough to beat good teams twice. But I will be on the Indiana side because I think they're just too well coached and they don't make mistakes, and that's worth a lot in college football, especially once you get to these kind of games.
Chip, I'm curious how you've covered this Indiana game, or what your take is on Indiana, Oregon, because I've already done a show with Tom and Mike, and I know Mike likes taking the points plus 3.5, although he got it when it opened. He took an alt line like 6.5. Like he's got this covered in a lot of different ways, greater than 3.5. Tom, I think, leans to Indiana. So can you break the tie for us? And I will say, I lean to not that you should necessarily be listening to me on college football, but I lean to Indiana as well. Where are you, Chip, on this?
Oh, do you know that there's this show at 10 a.m. on Friday called BPE Friday, and it would be a great opportunity to hear from Chip Patterson for his takes on the Friday night football game. But I will have multiple plays on this game, and here will be my hints. Clue number 1 is violence, football with hammers, because that is my expectation. Is that these two teams are going to like. Oregon's one of the best teams in the country at limiting explosive plays, right? Like they're just going to sit back. And if you go back and look at the Texas Tech game, they have hats all around the ball. They're going to sit back, and they are going to rally and dink and dunk and try to make Indiana work for everything. Indiana, as Ben mentioned, does not make mistakes. I just think it's going to be hard hitting. I think it's going to be violent. I think it's going to be football with hammers. Best bet coming tomorrow. And then my second clue is smoke it through the filter. Real ones know, day ones know what we do with the Indiana Hoosiers. We smoke it through the filter.
And FYI, if you want more from those hints, then you can just check out the Cover 3 podcast where Chip joins a cast that's very, very good and goes in depth on all these games. Let's see if we have any more questions. Mike, did you want to respond? I know that I kind of got your take yesterday, but
I just thought Chip was going to say Google the Cover 3 podcast. That's what I thought he was going to say. It's where I would have went.
No, that'd be too cocky. I'm going to promote what we still have to do. I'm going to tease the work that we still have here on the early edge. I'm on good team player here. I'm not going to direct you elsewhere. Right here, youtube.com/sportsline live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Mike, I'm trying to steal a little bit more before we get to the recap screen, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. But you do lean to Oregon. And because there was Packers-Bears chat, and of course, Ben came on to talk about that, I lean to the Packers. Where do you lean in that game?
That one's so tough. The weather could give Chicago just a little bit of break. And what I mean by that is they may put the football in the hands of Swift and Monungai just a little bit more. And I think that would be wise for them personally. What I would say on Chicago, they're not – this analogy is a little interesting, but like we love Texas Tech all year. I talked about betting them early season to make the college football playoff and talked about how Texas Tech was just 1 year too early. They exceeded a little expectation. They got there. They're clearly going to be a force forever going forward until NIL and transfer portal changes. Texas Tech is going to run the Big 12 until they decide to leave the Big 12. That's just kind of how it's going to go. I think the Chicago Bears are similar in the sense that they are just 1 year too early. I think it's very clear that Ben Johnson is going to be great. They're building a lot of great pieces, and I think they're just 1 year too early. If I had to play it, it would be the Packers side. Fortunately, my computer agrees with where the market is. I thought the market wouldn't offer Chicago where they do. So I'm not playing it. Lean towards the Packers. Yeah, I love that Bears team. And I told you, I thought Caleb Williams might be a top 5 quarterback going forward because of the coaching system and because of the age that he is now. I think they're just 1 year too early. No hate to all the Chicago sports area people out there. I like the team. I just think they're 1 year too early.
I'm getting some stuff in the chat about Mike McDaniel getting fired.
True.
EC, can you confirm?
Yeah, it was just reported a couple minutes ago. Mike McDaniel is out in Miami.
No,
Okay.
You report it, EC.
I'm not reporting it. I don't listen. I'm not
heard.
I'm not ripping. I will tell you this. I think if Matt LaFleur loses to the Bears, he's out. And I think if Sean McDermott loses to the Jaguars or when, he's out too.
You think Matt LaFleur is out if he loses?
I do. I really do.
He might be out of the country on vacation after the game, but he ain't out.
No.
The rumor. There are rumors, and I'm just throwing this that Stefanski, that Green Bay likes Stefanski, which is something.
It's a good option. It'll be.
So, Tom, do you have an opinion on are they going for Harbaugh or Stefanski or maybe Kingsbury? Because I feel like those would be the 3 coaches I'd be interested in if I'm Miami.
Yeah, listen, I'm up here in Giants country, right? And they're already planning next year's Super Bowl with Harbaugh as the head coach. And I do think that's a definite possibility. But the team I said to watch out for to those guys is, Miami's lurking around there, and they'll spend a lot of money to get a real coach, I think. And I think it's interesting, the timing here. I think they feel like they have a real shot to get Harbaugh.
Chip, do you have an opinion? Well, I promise we'll get to the recap screen in a second. Do you have an opinion on the coaching vacancies and who if you were a fan, like if Carolina had it, you're a Carolina fan, right? If they had, you're not. Who's your NFL team?
I when the Panthers are good, there's watch parties and I see my friends. I am an entirely casual, social. Like my Sundays are spent wrapping up Saturdays and working. I don't have it. I don't have that dog in me. I'm all for Saturdays. So what's my opinion on the NFL coaching carousel?
Yeah.
You keep your damn hands off my coaches. That is my opinion on the NFL coaching carousel. I'm ready to do my coaching carousel recap pod. I am ready to put a bow on this. I'm ready to start putting together my spreadsheets for the 2026 season. Don't open up the portal again for a team by stealing a coach. That is my NFL coaching carousel take. Keep your damn hands off our coaches.
All right, so Chip, if there was one college coach who was going to be hired in this pro cycle, who would you say it is?
Well, when Marcus Freeman said, let's run it back for 2026, that seemed all well and good. But that's the one that you've always got your eyes on, and you're like, okay.
I think anyone would go after Ryan Day?
No.
Okay.
All right. I think it's a good time. We've got a lot more to talk about college football and NFL related on tomorrow's BPE Friday show. Mike and I have to escape because at 11 o'clock, we've got fantasy football today, DFS, where we're going to cover in depth each of the 6 games from a DFS standpoint. But Mike, we're going to be talking about some props in that game or in those games as well. So 11 o'clock on the Fantasy Football Today YouTube channel. Make sure you check that out. Speaking of props, the NFL Prop Show is on tomorrow at 3 o'clock, of course, on the SportsLine YouTube channel, our regular time Friday at 3 o'clock after BPE Friday at 10 o'clock. Let's look at the recap screen before we finally get everybody out of here. I got an NFL prop. It's up on SportsLine, of course, as well. Saquon Barkley over 18.5 rush attempts, -122. Then we go to Miami, first half, -1.5 at -110. That's from Chip Patterson. We go to the other side, though, and we can thread the needle and hit both of these. Ole Miss money line +150 from Mike McClure. Tom Casale also likes Ole Miss, but he's taking the points +3.5 at -110. He also likes Mark Fletcher over 88.5 rushing yards at -115. And if you caught the show, we talked a lot about Mark Fletcher in terms of his longest rush, if you have that option available to you at your sports book. Miami money line plus over 44.5. Indiana, Oregon at +150. That's a parlay from EC. He also likes tonight in college basketball, Rutgers, Illinois over 144.5 at -110. Sportsline picks, Buffalo Sabres money line -110, courtesy of the very sharp Todd Furman. And in the NBA, speaking of sharp, prop bet guy likes Diabate over 20.5 points and rebounds at -120. Gosh, what a great show. What a great show. Sox Nation says, great show. Gentlemen, we appreciate everybody being in here. A big show. A lot of you in here. Make sure you're subscribed to the Sportsline YouTube channel and make sure you return for all the programming on this Sportsline YouTube channel, including Chip on BPE Friday, our prop show. So much coming. And we got some special shows. We got the early wedge on this channel. There's just so much coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great Thursday. We'll see you next time. We rest our case.